building yet so far. So, because we're on limited time, Coach has practice. We're going to get started with Coach Green.
Hey everyone, great to see you guys, and excited about the start of the year and see all your faces. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you guys around State Farm Center and following our program. So really excited about the year and where we're at, and more importantly where we're going. And that's the most important thing for us is the vision of where we're going to get to. You guys fire away.
When you try to look at what you wanted to see from this program, the biggest area of growth you wanted to see since you kind of came in to where you're at now, what's kind of the emphasis that you've had this offseason in trying to get them to grow to where you wanted to get to?
Yeah, with a brand new team, we had 5 from last year's team, and then everyone else is new, and we have transfers in there. Really, the biggest thing for us is instilling our culture and our expectations and our standards of every single day, what it takes to be elite and to have winning ways. So, that from team chemistry to getting those relationships and learning each other, but more importantly, just the culture aspect of the expectation of daily, of the work and the intensity and the attention to detail. You can be good, you can be great, and then you can be elite. And in order to be elite, it's really, really hard. And that's every single day, your habits. So that's really just trying to instill that culture and develop habits.
You feel like you are in that process, and maybe what was the process just getting to this point?
I think we're getting there. Obviously, we're never there. Even, last year with the veteran team that won 26 games, at this time of the year, I didn't feel like we were there, right? But I know we are getting better. We are way further than, you look back to that last day. But it's, again, the consistency of that. We'll have a few good days, and then you have to have and that's really, really hard. Like I said, it's not easy, but that's the expectation. That's the standard. So just the consistency level of it through, now that we're into our 20-hour weeks, even a 2-hour practice as opposed to just an hour, and the mental and physical focus and discipline to get them to that level.
How much clarity do you have? What's it mean to have 2 of your former Dayton players here to help you kind of have a player voice in what you do?
I think it's huge, right? They understand. They know again standards. They know what it takes to win. They know what I'm about. They know, my good and my bad days, and they can try to help our players. And hey, no, this is what coach means. This is how we do things. This is the culture that we want. So when you take over a program and you're trying to establish an entirely new culture, I think it's always key to have some players. So it's not just coaches always saying this is how we do stuff. You have 2 players that have been there, done it, and have won and know what it takes. So I think that's been super, super beneficial and helped us in a transition a little bit smoother.
How much clarity do you have on roles for your players right now on the court, positionally, and just how you're going to operate your scheme?
Yeah, I think it's every day gets clearer. It's getting clearer and clearer, and I think you're starting to get into, we're a couple weeks out and we have a scrimmage, so it's going to get real clear real quick. And I just told our staff yesterday, this is when stuff starts to get real a little bit. Roles are starting to be determined. So in my mind, I have that in terms of a lot of the players, but then a lot of it's just some of the younger guys. How are they gonna develop? How quickly are they gonna catch on? But I think, the 5, 6, 7, 8, like I feel, I'm comfortable with who's going to play a majority and who we're going to need to play a lot of minutes this year.
What's Camille's status right now? Is she back full go?
Yes, she's actually full go as of recently. So she's working her way back, and every day it's just going to be a process with her.
What's the philosophy like as far as your system versus the type of players you have? So do you adjust, or do you play to the style of players that you have?
Great question, and I think we're pretty fortunate that we have players that can fit how we want to play. Now the depth part is going to be obviously an issue. That's the number one thing I see is we got to obviously add depth, but our players they're completely able to play at the pace that we want to play at. Now, defensively, they're fully capable. It's, again, getting the mindset of the consistency of defense matters. And if you're not going to defend, you're not going to be on the floor. for our team. It's non-negotiable. So I think that, we have some players that fit us, and now it's obviously the recruiting piece is critical in this class and then, the next two classes, really.
Still too early to tell, or do you know who basically the shot makers are going to be for you? Who's been stepping up in practice?
I mean, you can see that. You can see who is going to have to, get up a lot of shots and score a lot of baskets. I mean, in my system, in my programs, we've always had very balanced scoring. So our best teams, I mean, we never have had a 20-plus point score in my 6 years of being a head coach. It's always been very balanced, and that's just our offensive approach. So we're going to need, 5, 6, 7 guys to all, step up and contribute in scoring and then, more importantly, rebounding.
NIL, there's so much difference. What does a new facility like this mean for your program, whether it's day-to-day or recruiting, all of it?
It's huge. I mean, we've now had, literally the past 5 weeks, we've had official visits on. And I'm telling you, when you walk into that building, it matters. And NIL matters. So those things have really, they've helped us a great deal in terms of the facility, and we can sell that because, like I said, right now, for us, we can't sell tradition. And Coach Underwood can sell. He's won 2 Big Ten titles. We can't do that right now. So we have to, we're going to sell in our relationships and our vision and hopefully the products we've put on the floor, albeit not at this institution, but the success we've had in our style. But then you walk them into Ubben and you have those resources and the facilities. I mean, we have a kid on campus right now and being recruited by all Big Ten schools, and she's blown away, and her family's blown away by that facility. So it's a game changer, and it's helped us tremendously so far.
With the roster turnover you've had, how much does that maybe force, I guess, some of the transfers have to make an impact, I guess, more quickly because you don't necessarily have the luxury of a lot staying around?
Yeah, if you look at our team, I mean, we have 1 senior, and then we have really 1, junior, senior, whatever you want to, with COVID. So we're young. We're freshmen and a lot of sophomores in terms of eligibility standards. So our transfers are going to have to play a big role. A lot of our young kids are going to be some of our main guys playing a ton of minutes. So with that is going to be some learning curve and some bumps in the road, but they're talented and they're able to do it. Just some of them are going to have to learn. But yeah, the transfers, it's key. They're going to have to come in and play. And we'll continue to look at transfers as we recruit, this year and in years to come.
It's such a young team. Are there any more or less challenges with installing that culture, just that you're not maybe correcting some things in the past, which because they're also kind of new to this?
Yeah, with a young team, there's always more, right? Because they're just young, and I always say they don't know what they don't know. And so that's where I think it does help having a couple players that are familiar with our culture because they were just freshmen and, a year or 2 ago, and a very veteran in a very established culture. So they were kind of the younger guys being, mentored by our seniors. So now it's roles have flipped. You look at a Makaira, you look at Brand, like Makaira, last year she didn't have to be that leader. Well, now, she has to be. So now she's learned from some great people. She knows what it looks like. And so now she's really stepping into that leadership role. So I just think with youth, it's always tough, and that's more on us as coaches and myself as a leader to, be creative and trying to find ways to teach them and educate them and help them develop as leaders.
How beneficial was it to have most of the players on campus throughout most of the summer and sort of this transition period that you've been talking about?
I mean, that's huge. You have to have that. The more time, the better. Obviously, we've been in 8-hour weeks, and I'm like, we need like 80 hours a day in order to get everything that I want to get in. So we're still not where we want to be in terms of what my normal teams would have in at this point, but it is what it is. I'm never going to sacrifice, being good at something as just opposed to putting a ton of stuff in. So, but the summer was huge, and we made a ton of strides. More importantly, just in our chemistry and our togetherness as a team, with everyone being new.
Camille, when obviously you got here, she probably had choices of whether she wanted to come back. What were your conversations with her? What did it mean to get her to buy in?
I mean, I think number one, she's a Illinois kid, right? And she chose Illinois. Like my first conversation with her, she said she chose Illinois because she loved the school and she wanted to do something in her home state and be part of the change. So really she was completely bought into this school and this program. And it's pretty cool to see that. So, hopefully as she gets healthy, she can just continue to make progress and make strides. And that's why it's so great that she's now cleared and able to go and start that process of just getting better every single day.
Anything where when you were at Dayton, when you made the transition to Illinois, go, okay, that worked there, but that's not going to work here, and I have to be different along with our players?
That's a really good question that no one's asked me yet. And, I can't think of anything, no. I think at the end of the day, like how we go about doing stuff and how we recruit and the time we pour into building relationships and recruiting, our style, that transcends, that transfers to wherever you're at. And now I just look at it as a benefit, right? Like at Dayton, we would do all that and they'd be like, Coach, I love you, but I'm my dream's to play in the Big Ten, or my dream's to. So now we kind of have the best of both worlds. We can still do our thing and how we cultivate relationships, but now we have and you have the facilities, you have the conference. So nothing glaring that had to be changed, no. And I may feel differently when we talk next year, but so far, no.
Describe your style of play that you like. Is it up tempo? Is it ball pressure? What kind of system?
Yeah, to simplify it, it's very simple. We defend at first. We've been a top 15 team the past 6 years in the nation in defense field goal percentage and defensive rebounding. So we're going to defend, we're going to rebound, and then we're going to run and play fast. And in our Phoenix transition, we're trying to score in 6 seconds or less and really play fast and free in our offense. But I tell our team every day, I have to remind them, you can't play fast if you don't get stops. It's hard to play fast out of dead balls. So, but we're not a pressure team. We're gonna get, our stops come from, and how we've been a top 15 team comes from just contesting and making every shot contested and tough and keeping people out of the paint. So very containment based team defense.
When I talked to you the other day, we were talking about attention to detail and how you weren't going to move on to the next skill until they mastered this. How close are you to getting to move on to the skills you want them to have for the first game?
We're pretty close. I mean, again, our defensive system is not too complex. It's very simple, but yet very hard, right? So simple in concept, but hard in discipline and detail and the effort and intensity you need possession by possession. But then, I'm a man-to-man team, but we always had to put in a zone, and so I haven't gotten to that yet, but I put all this zone in, last year we put all this stuff in, and then I don't want to play it. So I don't know why I even put it in, but, we may have to have it this year as we didn't have to have it last year because we're not as deep as my teams have been. So we may have to have something because we can't get in foul trouble at all. And we can't afford any injuries this year, so we're close. We're close. We're not as far off as what where we should be.
You were talking about Dayton Micaiah Cook, really elite player at Dayton for you. Mm-hmm. What's the transition like for her going to the Big Ten? Is there going to be a transition for her, or is she going to be that level player?
She's that level player, no doubt about it. Now it's going to be a transition because people are going to key in on her. Anyone that's watched her or watched us knows she's going to be our go-to player. She's going to have to take a lot of shots. She's going to have the ball in her hands a lot more. She's going to have to run the point more than she did last year. So obviously people are going to be keyed in. So, it's going to look a little bit different, yeah, but if you look at her stats from last year, all of her big games really came against our Big Ten opponents. The NCAA tournament, she all her big games were in some big moments. So no doubt about it, she is a Big Ten player. She could have played anywhere in the country, or not anywhere in the country, but she had Big Ten Power 5, offers coming out of high school. And when she was in the portal, she had, those options. So she's a great player, but yeah, it'll look different, and it'll take her some time just to get adjusted, I'm sure. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you. It's practice 9 today is in the books, and it's always a fun time of year to coach. I think the one thing that's excited me, really got me excited about this group has been the drastic improvements from one day to the next, and now we're starting to stack days, good days, and that's with really quite big improvements. This group has been unbelievable in terms of their work ethic, their ability, the new guys, to grasp what we're doing, and then to back that up with really good questions and a lot of film work. And as you guys know, we practice in the morning. And most of these guys are finding their way back in to watch film and to get shots and to work on things that happen in practice. So I've been really pleased with that. Again, there is a lot of new faces, so there's a lot of things that we're still figuring out, and it's trial and error in some areas. So everybody's been good. I'm like I said, I've been really pleased with our freshman group, their effort. We have not had to teach them how to play hard or demand it. You can tell they're winners. You can tell these guys have been a part of winning and success. These guys just do it. They show up, and it's just been basically gaining knowledge and understanding, and then putting those things into play against bigger and stronger players, and that's just the natural progression that it takes. But I think we've gotten very good leadership from our veterans. I've loved the way Terrence Shannon has come in here. He's you guys can ask him about it. He's on a 30,000 shot make month, so he gets up at 4:45 every morning and makes 1,000 shots before we work out. It's pretty cool. Now I told him that you can't sustain that throughout the course of the season when we play games, so we would like you to get some sleep. But very dedicated. He's been tremendous. I think his leadership. Been very pleased with Coleman. Obviously a third-year guy now, and his role in helping the young guys. And then it's been nice to see RJ and Luke really start to feel more comfortable as veterans of our team, because they know what's going on, and they've all had great moments. So, like I said, I feel I'm in a pretty comfortable place. I like the way we're playing. There's a lot of questions that we'll need to see a different colored jersey in a scrimmage and an exhibition game to see how those guys react. But I like this group at this point. It's obviously very nice to be in the newly renovated Ubben basketball facility. The extra space in the courts has been fabulous and very nice to have. We're not completely settled yet, but most of the player spaces are complete. And in terms of the locker room and the training room, obviously Fletch's area was of importance. So it's been great. Looking forward to finally getting in my office and really getting settled, and then just we're completely dialed in on the season. So it's been great to this point, and hopefully we continue stacking days and getting better.
You just said, talk about the process of embracing the new transfer rules and what that's meant for your team. And transfers are going to play a big role on the team, obviously.
Transfers are a huge part for every team. It's our culture. I've told some NBA scouts my 8 years as a junior college coach, I'm hitting back home. It's starting over every year. There were years we had 10 new guys in junior college, and I think that you've got to adapt a little bit. You've got to have an idea what you want to do. This is a plan we've had in place for some time with positional size, knowing that we weren't going to have a Kofi forever. But Yeah, it's the portals. It's a great tool for coaches to go out and replace guys and find some veterans, and I think we've done that.
You mentioned using the scrimmage to see another jersey versus having 2 exhibitions. How valuable will that opportunity to be challenged and to find out about your team that early?
Yeah, it's that crazy, you can't talk about your scrimmage, but the scrimmage is great because you can get in there for a while and you can really dial in on high level competition which is what we're going to do, and you can work on situations, scenarios. You can have a segment versus zone. You can have a segment of out of bounds plays, last second situations, all of those things that maybe aren't as easy to do against yourself, but you can run, down 3, side out of bounds, 6 seconds to go, and you can create those scenarios, and you can do that against really good competition. Obviously, we'll scrimmage, but it's those scenarios that are really good because you can really stop it and teach in those moments, and both sides get to do that. So I'm a big fan of those scrimmages.
NIL, and so much other things in recruiting. How much does a new facility, renovated facility, matter to you guys day to day in recruiting all?
No, facilities are huge. Period. No matter NIL, non-NIL, they are huge. A lot of it, we play at the highest level. And most of our student athletes come here with the idea of wanting to be a professional, and they want to have excess. And they want to be in situations where they, have great weight facilities and great recovery facilities and rehab and training, but also 24-hour access. And, I've said that this is the nicest basketball training facility in the country. And I don't like the word practice, it's training facility. We're in here all the time. We're training, we're lifting, we're the recovery piece. Anything that they need to make themselves the best basketball player they can be, we are now offering them that. And there's some comfort things in there. There's no lying. There's some nice comfort areas and places that we want them to feel comfortable that they want to be in there all the time. And so it's a big part of it, and there's no doubt. NIL is kind of a separate deal, but it's a piece to knowing, hey, if I go to the University of Illinois, I've got an incredible facility to play my games in. There are sellout crowds every single night, and it was just renovated 6, 7, 8 years ago, and now I've got a state-of-the-art basketball facility that I can live in every day.
From your freshman point guards, and does that concern you at all going in with that much inexperience in your backcourt play?
Well, I think you're always a little bit leery of young guys in the backcourt, but they're really talented. I mean, Jaden Epps and Ty and I haven't been as worried about it because we're positionless. We've been playing Terrence Shannon a lot on the ball. Coleman shifts over, and plays on the ball some based on matchups. And we're not as dominant a ball handling team as maybe we've been in the past. Those guys are really, really good, and they've been great. Jaden Epps, I think last Saturday during our Brad School scrimmage was our leading scorer and was tremendous. And he's just continued to build this week. Sky was out and missed a few days with a concussion, but he's back now, and he's been terrific. So it's I love those guys. And Ty is a guy that we're playing a lot at the point, just at 6'6", 220. Just playing, doing some bully ball things with him, and he's such a good passer.
You add the transfers, even if they played 3 or 4 years. Is there an idea that you can maybe still unlock something that hasn't happened for them yet?
Well, I think there is. I think there's also challenges that they have habits that are really hard to break, and I think there's a little bit of give and take in that. I think one of the things that excites me the most is, these guys all come from very, very, very successful programs, and they're all very knowledgeable. I think our style fits all 3 of them, and our system. It fits. It's a great fit, and we thought that when we were out looking at those guys. And Terrence Shannon, elite athlete, elite, maybe as good as we've had. At 220 pounds and speed. He's got that wide receiver type speed, and it's fun to see him in the open court. Matthew's a guy that, again, versatility, can score in the post, can play out on the perimeter, and they can all guard those spots. So it's a great fit. Dane's versatility, playing out on the floor, his ball handling, all those things fit. So there's some things we can unlock, and their roles might change, coming to a new program, and I think that's what all those guys have found is maybe some different roles. But they've all been successful, and they've all been really well coached.
Coach, what's it been like, having Trent, Frazier, and DeMonte in your program early in your career, now that they're not here? What has the transition been like, not seeing them in the gym here anymore?
Yeah, it stinks. It's a. I've told somebody Trent's a throwback. Trent got mad at me when I took him out of practice. In today's world, most guys are finding ways to get out of practice. Trent was mad if you took him out of practice, and then I always look back at DeMonte and the coming in here with an ACL and literally was grotesquely fat coming off that injury. I mean, just a bad body and couldn't get through the first practice, and that was his first day cleared, and yet I'm playing him major minutes. I have so much appreciation for the layers that they built of our culture and our program, and it's no wonder that both of them are having success, playing professionally.
October 7th, like who that guy is after that last media timeout that you'll have out on the floor because he'll get stopped or get a loose ball or have that dog type mentality too.
I don't know yet. I probably won't know that till we actually live through those moments. And I'll be very honest. We haven't spent a ton of time on situations yet, practicing those. But I think as we get into our scrimmage and our exhibition, we'll manufacture a lot of those to find out who those guys are. But right now we're really balanced, and it's been you're finding out who can execute, who can do all the little things. But we do have some guys who can literally just go get one, and it's a pretty good feeling to know that.
Where's the team at defensively right now, Coach?
Way ahead of where we're at offensively. I've been really pleased defensively. We're still learning because of our youth. About 95% of the mistakes we make are because of lack of communication, not talking. And it's one of the great challenges with freshmen is getting those guys to communicate. And our mistakes are happening there, but they're getting better. They're understanding our terminology. They're understanding positioning. And I think the game's starting to slow down a little bit for them. But, there's still tons of room for improvement. And but I like where we're at, and I love the potential for this team on the defensive side with our length, our speed. I think this team can be a very, very good defensive team.
You said you like your leadership. Is your voice more prevalent still, though, with so much newness and more hands-on this year than in the past? No doubt. I've made myself
Very aware of that throughout the summer. I probably have traveled less this month in the recruiting game for that simple reason. I need to be here. I need to be around. I need to make sure that, through individual workouts and the 8 hours before practice started, that we were here and that they understood what I expected from them and how those things were going to be. So I've been around intentionally a lot more and even through the summer quite a bit more, so they get a good grasp of what we want. But it's slowly, I'm slowly feeling like I can let them do things. They have a good understanding. They're coming to me now and asking things and seeing things, and that's a really good sign.
With the way things are changing, I don't know if you agree with the word sort of chaotic, but the kind of the chaotic nature of college sports in the moment. Can you picture having a team again with guys like Frazier and DeMonte?
I hope so.
And the way it is now, the need for puzzle pieces to be put together, does this appeal to your nature?
I mean, in a perfect world, I'd love to, I love what it was 20 years ago when you'd go recruit 2 guys in the fall and you were done. And you knew what your team was going to be, and you had that class balance, and you had, 3 seniors and 4 juniors and, 4 sophomores, and you had a group of freshmen that you were excited about, and I get it. That's not going to happen anymore. What I do hope is that retention and an understanding of we're at a world-class, top 15 public institution for education, and that means something. And that retention becomes a big part of what they're doing because we have great fans, because we have a tremendous practice facility, because we have the best strength coach in the country, because our assistant coaches are the best, because we play in the best league in the country. And if you can find a greener pasture than that, good luck. Good luck. And so I do hope that piece of retention happens with us, because that's ultimately growth. You look at Golden State Warriors; they won because of look how long all those guys have been there, from Steve Kerr to Draymond to Clay to Steph. They all know each other. Looney, they've all played together. It even happens at the NBA level. So having guys together like that, and no coincidence, we won a Big Ten championship last year because we've got 5th-year guys, and Kofi was a veteran, and Jake had been in the program, and so it's just it's fun to see that happen, and we're going to continue to work very, very hard and sell all of those things I just mentioned.
When you say I'm sorry.
No, we're going to sell them. I hope it works.
When you say you started planning for life without Kofi, was positionless a big key to that?
Kofi's, I thought Kofi could potentially be a one and done, and so it was a matter of just going out and getting wings. It was bigger wings. We knew we needed positional size. We knew you're not going to go replace him, and not to say we don't have bigs, but you're not going to find a dominant piece like him. Then we got to have guards who can break you down off the dribble, and so it's been really contemplated since his middle of his freshman season, and here's how we have to go attack this, and we're gonna find out. I think it worked. I think it's gonna work great. I think it's fun. I think we're talented, and it's I think it's the way the game's trending anyway. So we'll never lose our core values and playing hard and everyday guys and toughness, and we're not going to lose that in that process. But we'll throw it up and see how it works.
Replacing Kofi's defensive rebounding is one of the major factors. Is this a situation where you have to have the guards and the wings crashing the defensive glass a little bit more?
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that was nice about Kofi is he was 20 and 10. I woke up every game day and knew there was 20 and 10 coming, and good luck trying to stop it. It was 20 and 10. But this needs to be a group where Terrence, Matthew, Coleman, RJ, Luke, Ty Rogers led us in rebounding 7 of the first 9 practices. Those wings have to come back in and get 6, 7, 8 rebounds. Those guards got to chase down long rebounds, 4 or 5. I think if you look at Kansas and what they did in their national championship run, their wings were 7, 8 rebounds a game. We've got to have that, and we've got to be junkyard dogs on the glass. Everybody's got to pull to the ball, and we've got to go rebound the basketball.
What makes Ty so unique? Have you had a player like him?
Thomas Walker. and that's an unfair comparison to Ty right now, but Thomas Walker, just twins, just at the same age. They can post him, can play him at the point, he can guard. Ty's a way better defender than Thomas. Thomas, when you guys put that on Twitter, I'm gonna get a nice text from Greece, but very similar. Just the flexibility that he provides. Ty's probably a better passer than Thomas was at the same age, but yeah, he's got it, and it is all the intangible things that allow you to win, and then he is a tough, mature freshman, and those aren't easy to find.
Season, kind of full-on season for RJ. What kind of leap do you think he can take this year?
Big. I think the one thing that I think RJ's the typical freshman that found out it was really hard, had some success, unfortunately had the appendicitis, and then said, okay, I need to go work. And he and Fletch have become very close in the weight room. We've seen that in his 20 pounds. He's got elite athleticism. And then he's worked on his jump shot. And, you're talking about a guy that the ball finds him in a lot of scenarios, rebounding. I think he's more confident now because of the added weight and the strength that he's not going to get knocked off of it like he did last year. So I think it's just I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the season that I think he's capable of having. He's still got areas he's got to get better at, but he's only a sophomore as well, and he's young. So he's made a nice progression.
New roles for transfers, and I guess clearly with Terrence, that's having the ball in his hands more. Have you seen an evolution already, and maybe what he is, what his game is from like the time you were looking at him in the portal and what he did at Tech?
Yeah, Terrence. I hope our pace. He's played multiple positions. That he was very involved in motion offense there. I've been very, very pleased and surprised with him in ball screens. He's a terrific passer, which has surprised me. But he's very, very good downhill. And, some of think IO in transition type opportunities, he's got that speed, he's got that burst, he's a very, very good athlete and strong. I think he's a guy that differs from Io in this, that I think he's a guy that can get to the line 8 to 10 times a game. I mean, he will bulldoze his way down there. He's big and strong, and I'm hopeful that plays out that way. But yeah, the open court's been good for him.
Every year it seems like you make an adjustment, whether it's personnel with adding Kofi or whether it's a defensive style change. You've made a lot of adjustments over the years. As you grow and as you see more, what's the big thing this year? What did you learn this off season that you can instill this season?
Yeah, I think we've got to get. I think one of the things with Kofi was, and we were blessed to have him, was there were certain things we became great at with him defensively, and those were singular things. Same thing on the offensive end. I think we were 5th in the country in our drop ball screen coverage, and became very good at those things. Kofi allowed us to do that. We're going to be able to do a few more things on both ends. You look back at some of the games we played without Kofi last year. I think there were 5 or 6 of them. You saw 5-out stuff. Coleman was very successful and good in those games. Not to spill our playbook, but there you go. And there's some different things that we can do there, and we've got some different opportunities on the defensive end. Both in the half court and full court to do some things differently. So those are all things that we're feeling our way through. We've worked on since June. We like, and I think that. I don't want to talk a whole lot about depth but early these guys are going to play. We're going to find out who can play and who can't, and that's why I'm so excited. I think that we've got some talented guys that are playing really hard, and you know, if things go perfectly, we'll be able to do that for a while.
Someone asked earlier about who would be your go-to guy, maybe in that situation. Could that depend on the matchup that you have? It could change from day to day.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we've known for the last 3 years who was getting the ball at the end of the game, as did everybody in our league. But I don't think it's that easy this year. I think it could be, you know, running an action for Luke or RJ to get a shot. Maybe it's a you know, dribble into a post up for Matthew or Ty or whatever, or TJ, and maybe it's just a rip downhill. You know, some of the actions that we've run don't fit this team, and so we're working on putting new ones in that do. So yeah, I think it's very fair to say that.
As that Chicago saw Io and Malcolm, I know he's on the wall in there too. What's it mean to have that ambassador of the program for you guys?
Io's a rock star. I mean, he's not just as a player and because he's starting for an NBA team. I'm saying because of what he's become, how he's gotten there. You know, and his love for Illinois. You know, most kids think that, you know, they say the right things in the recruiting process and they tell you guys all what you think you want to hear. And, you know, I love Illinois. I want to take care of my home school. That's real. That's real with Io. And, you know, come down here and, you know, he spent a day down here doing some commercials and came in the practice facility. He's just in awe. I mean, he's almost, you know, tearing up. He can't wait to get a workout in and put the orange shoes back on. And that's real. And, you know, to see him, more importantly, to walk in and hear Arturas and to hear Mark and to hear Billy and all those people talk about how much they like him, you know, you can't ask for anything more, and not just as a player, but for what he's established as his work ethic and how he's gotten there. Pretty proud of him.
Brett Bielema and Shauna Green have both mentioned Io when it comes to their sport and recruiting. What does that say? Well, I guess what does that mean to you as far as how important he is when other sports programs are using a guy like him as a recruiting tool?
It's helped us get where we want to. No, let me rephrase that. We're not where we want to be yet. That's not true because we haven't won a national championship yet. And for anybody who's, Big Ten championships are important, and it's our goal every year. But to have a guy to know where we came from, and you know, I tell our team every year, I'm the losingest coach in the history of Illinois basketball in one season. I am. Y'all wrote about it. I don't. But that's part of the process. He was on that team. He was on that team, and to grow and to go through that, and that's what Brett's in the process of building. Shauna's going to get built. You have to have people that you look back on and that you tear up when you talk about them. And you know the importance because you know the value that they have on your program and the impact that they have on your program. The fact he's from the state helps. They're trying to do that same thing. And you don't get there. It's not easy. It's really hard to win. And it takes the right character and the right piece. And softball had a key recruit in, and from the state. I did a video for them and on to help them, and it's all about Iowa. That's huge. That's bigger than our program or any program. That's what this thing's about, and they should use Iowa. And makes me feel great. It's because, listen, winning's fun. We're going to experience that tomorrow night. What time's our game? 6:30 when it kicks off, and we're going to watch Shauna build and do it the right way. Winning's fun, but you got to have those key people that do that, and for them to say, "Hey, Io DeSumu's that guy," you know what? And he takes that and holds that dear to his heart, and is really proud of that.
you have in your building fewer people who are actually core parts of that climb from that season that you mentioned? How often do you go back to that with some of those younger guys, or do you at all?
You got to be really careful doing that. You can't forget how you've got there, and you can't forget those people. But each team is new and has to develop its own identity. Our guys are sick. Our guys early on, they hated Thomas Walkup when he'd come in here in the summer and work out. They hated him because I talked about him so much. You know, some of these guys probably get sick of hearing about Io and Trent, and yet I'll get to a point where I'll quit doing that, and you know, they've got to develop their own way and their own path, and we can't lose sight, and I won't let them lose sight of how those guys did that, because it's their job to carry that on.
When you went through the process with Matthew in the portal and having your relationship with Scott and you knew Baylor, like, what was your hypothesis or staff's theory as to why last year his numbers may have plateaued just a little bit individually, but Baylor had a good year?
Yeah, they were good. I mean, they had veterans. I mean, they're coming off a national championship, and I don't think he was totally healthy throughout the course of the season. You know, they had a freshman that just blossomed and blew up into a lottery pick. You know, I think all those things impact that. But he's been extremely well coached. His versatility fits. The pace we play with fits. And you know, I think it's a tribute to him that they've had he's got a national championship ring, and he was a part of it. He kicked our butt. He was a big reason that they beat us. You know, you like having those guys around, and he's a wonderful kid. He's got great personality. He's a great teammate, and I'm excited to see those numbers increase because the ability is there, and it's our job to help get those numbers where he wants them and where we ultimately think they can be. And I think he can be a major impact in terms of what we're trying to do.
Last year, what you were talking about, that you had a really good three-point shooting team. Trent's gone, Plummer's gone. Is that a team strength this year, or is it a work in progress?
I think it's a work in progress. I mean, we've got two really good shooters. I mean, Luke Goody can be as good a shooter as there is in the country. I mean, he missed one today, and I got mad at him because he missed it. RJ has been shooting the cover off of it. Terrence had a day a couple of days ago where he was 6 of 7 from 3. You know, Matt shoot it. Coleman can shoot it. Both freshman guards, Sky and Jaden can shoot it, but they're freshmen, and they haven't done that in a game yet. So I'll hold and reserve judgment, but I like our abilities to do that, as well as I do our abilities to drive the ball and get it in the paint.
You mentioned Matt not being fully healthy last year. Terrence also missed a month, had the back issue. Where's Terrence at? And Matt was recently cleared. Where do you see both of those guys at physically?
Yeah, I think Matt's still kind of, you know, he was not with us all summer, you know, finishing his degree. I think he's still playing his way back into, I'll call it basketball shape, and just getting acclimated with Fletch and doing that. Terrence has worked his tail off, and I think Fletch feels great about where he's at in terms of being a little more limber, being loosened up. He was very active in the Pilates and yoga and all of that scene this summer. That's helped him, and he's been fabulous in practice. He hasn't missed a day. He hasn't said anything. He's been that go hard guy, an everyday guy since he's been here.
Leadership-wise from last year, how important was it for Terrence to step up and take part of that role?
Big. That's why we brought him. That's why we were looking for that. You know, I've said it many times. If I have to lead completely, we're not going to be very good. And he and Matthew have been and seen a lot. And Coleman, seen a lot, had a lot of success. Those guys have to help those young guys understand how we do it, what we do, and they've got to help them get there as well. So we have guys, Ty Rogers, natural leader. Luke is a natural leader. We're starting to see all of those guys assert themselves, and the more we have, the better it is. So I feel pretty comfortable that we're getting to where we need to be in that area.
Like you said, this summer you wanted to be around more to kind of have that voice, but also how do you balance that with not wanting to be the one who leads it and kind of let them find their own way in that regard? It's
My feel. I mean, I got to feel that they're getting comfortable enough to, damn it, Derek, that's not how we do it. And to be able to say those things and critical things to their teammates and yet pat them on the back and give them a word of encouragement. That's comfort. That's comfort within the locker room and your team. And you witness that. And, they've got to know that when a player doesn't dive on the floor for loose balls, that Io DeSumo jumped up and slammed the ball against the wall and chewed somebody out, because that's not how we do it here. That's why we win. And we're starting to see that. That didn't happen this summer, but we're starting to get to the intangible things that ultimately give you an extra possession to win games, and or the accountability to play for your teammate and the guy sitting to your right and to your left. And we have that. I love our guys' character. But you got to be able to be critical of them and know that it's not personal, and we're starting to get there.
Do you find joy in being creative with new personnel, knowing that it's not, dump it down to Kofi or give it to Io? At the end of the game, like Brad's question alluded to, you can kind of go to anybody at this point. Do you enjoy being creative?
I enjoy being creative. I also enjoyed throwing that doggone thing to Kofi and putting Io in a ball screen going right. But because I know the result of most of those. Yeah, sure. You've got to. I enjoy trying to figure out the next way to help us win, and it's kind of reinventing yourself a little bit in some areas, and I enjoy that. And I've said the thing I enjoy the most is putting the pieces of the puzzle together and trying to make them all fit. And that's you do that with trial and error. And we're going to have to get these guys and get that puzzle put together pretty early, because if you haven't looked at our schedule, we play a few folks. So we'll find out.
Is that what your big talent is, putting the puzzle pieces together and
Sure.
fit? I mean, is that what you think you're
They
best
don't.
at?
They don't fit. We're going to lose. We're going to lose. That's all it is every year, is getting 5 guys that gel together on the court. You guys all. I mean, Lauren's going to ask me 100 times who my starters are, and I'm going to find out, who works the best coming off the bench and who works the best playing together. I've juggled our lineup every single day in practice. I have not had the same group together literally one day, and trying to figure all those things out. So that's to me that's the fun side of trying to figure it all out, and we'll get it there. Like I said, we'll find out some of our warts and some of that early, because we got a hard schedule. So, but I believe in doing it that way as well. See ya. Thank you.
Danny, walk out the long hallway out the back door on your way down there. Keep photos, take first.
I just want to say it's my